Hey there, Central Ohio. Hope you're having a great Friday. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens, and I'm joined with Breana Albizu.
Yes.
And this is your first Weather Impact show.
You took my little note there. I know, this is my first Weather Impact show. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Great to join you all, and just in time for the Memorial Day weekend, too.
Yeah, just in time for the holiday weekend, and I know this morning it was kind of cold outside.
It was really cold. I think definitely something we didn't expect, especially for a Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
It's usually a little bit warmer out there. So I was a little disappointed because I like the warm weather. I'm sure I wasn't the only one, though.
Yeah, and unfortunately, part of that at least is going to continue into this weekend. We will slowly warm up, but really below average for this time of the year. And that's kind of your main weather headline as we head into the long weekend. Cool, chilly mornings. We're talking 40s out there, not just for what we saw this morning, but for several mornings through this weekend. That pattern expected to continue. This afternoon, isolated showers could still be possible, but the good news is this is the last real rain chance heading into the weekend. We're looking at dry weather pushing back into Central Ohio for your Saturday and Sunday. It'll be much more pleasant as we get through the weekend, but again, we got to work through those cold mornings ahead. Outside, plenty of sunshine coming down in the early part of the day. We will see more cloud cover develop as we work our way through the afternoon with those isolated showers, but it's not going to be the overcast skies that we saw throughout the day yesterday. There will still be portions of sunshine coming through that cloud layer this afternoon. Look at some of these temperatures from this morning. Most places down into the mid to low 40s, but out toward Urbana actually down into the 30s this morning. We had a report out from London in the 30s as well. Bellefontaine in the 30s this morning. It was certainly a cold start to the day, and we actually had wind chill out there this morning as well, pushing those feels-like temperatures down even colder. As we get into the afternoon, we will make it to the 60s today, so it is warmer than what we saw yesterday, but once that cloud cover starts to increase out there, that's when we have that chance for those showers, pop-ups to push through the region. Not really expecting any storms today, just sort of nuisance light rainfall from the clouds as we head through this afternoon before we clear things back out heading into tonight. That rain chance only about 20% as we head through later today. We push that back down to 0 as we head into the holiday weekend, but it doesn't stay gone for long. Even by late Monday, especially I would say Monday night, that's when rain chances really start to push back into the region, and we'll be setting with showers, maybe a rumble of thunder through the midweek as we head toward next week. So don't put that rain gear too far away. As for the reason behind that shower chance this afternoon, we're still kind of in the sphere of influence of that system that pushed through yesterday. Most of the concentrated rainfall off to the east, but enough moisture is still going to work its way down into Ohio this afternoon to bring us that chance for an isolated shower. Here's what that looks like on the hour-by-hour forecast. We'll see again cloud cover picking up this afternoon from where we were this morning. Those isolated showers could happen anywhere across the 10 TV viewing area throughout the afternoon into the early evening. But once we get past the evening hours tonight, we'll be back to a clearing pattern. This is part of why our temperatures will be down into the 40s again by early Saturday. But the good news is we can look at dry weather heading through the weekend. We'll see mostly sunny skies throughout the day Saturday, setting up a pretty nice weekend forecast. Not a warm one, but, you know, not a bad one either. Here's your 10 Weather Impact 7-day outlook. We're looking at temperatures this afternoon. They'll be up into the low 60s. I wouldn't be surprised if a few spots struggle to make it out of the 50s today for highs this afternoon. Again, we're expecting to be about 61 here in Columbus. As we head into the weekend, those temperatures do tick up, but not by a lot. We're up to 66 Saturday, 40 still in the morning. It's not going to feel like a summer day, but the sunshine will be out there in force tomorrow. The UV index up to a 7. That means you definitely need that sunscreen if you're going to be outside for any extended period of time. Make sure you're covering up and using that SPF 30, especially if you're out in that midday sun. We'll add a couple more degrees for Sunday and Memorial Day itself. Temperatures up close to 70, not quite there in most cases. And in fact, if you're heading out to the Memorial Day parades, expect a cool morning. Some of those start as early as 10 o'clock. That's where we're going to see temperatures still in the the 50s throughout the day. Cloud cover picking up as we head into the afternoon. Again, with those rain chances kind of coming back on the back end of the day. Temperatures out there will make their way close to 70 as we head toward Tuesday and Wednesday. That comes with the showers, maybe a rumble of thunder by next Thursday. Optimistically, we can push those temperatures back a little bit closer to where we should be for this time of the year, because we've just really been stuck in this unseasonably cool kind of weather pattern.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm liking the changes that we're going to see so far.
Yeah.
We're starting off a little cool, as you mentioned, but by the weekend, it'll start to heat up, and we like to see that.
Yeah, at least a little bit warmer weather. And I know for the holiday coming up this weekend, we don't want to see any rain. And it looks like we should be able to get through that just fine.
I mean, we got barbecues,
Yep.
we got pool days. I mean, you name it, right? There's something for all of us here. We'll be working, of course.
Yeah, I'll be here.
So someone has to, right? But we're excited for, at least we get to enjoy the weather when we get out of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, of course, what you mentioned there, barbecues, not having fun, all that sort of fun stuff. One of the big reasons people have been watching the forecast, obviously the long holiday weekend and the travel that comes with it. Millions of Americans are expected to travel 50 miles or more this holiday weekend. The majority of those travelers will be driving to those destinations. That could mean plenty of traffic on the roads. Spokesperson for AAA says, make sure that you pack your patience.
You want to leave as little to chance as possible, because there are so many things you can't control when you're on the road. Other drivers, construction, the weather.
Time, again, to get to that destination safely. But there's some good news. If you're driving this holiday, gas prices, they're down. Since mid-January, gas prices have dropped 20%. Fuel tracker Gas Buddy forecasts the national average price for a gallon of gasoline on Memorial Day will be around $3.08. That's 50 cents lower than last Memorial Day, but that's not expected to last through the summer.
As goes the economy, as go gas prices. Right now, with the threat of tariffs and economic uncertainty, oil prices have faltered a bit based on the fact that a slowdown in the U.S. economy would also mean a slowdown in consumption.
And if you are traveling out of the state, we did take a peek at gas prices around surrounding states. Michigan and Indiana, Pennsylvania, all above Ohio's average gas price. So make sure you fill up before you cross that state line. Meanwhile, West Virginia, a few cents lower, and Kentucky, the cheapest gas out there, about $2.80.
That's
so,
good.
Not bad for holiday weekend, especially compared to last year.
I know, definitely looking better this year, and I think that's the numbers that we want to see right now.
Yeah.
A lot of us road trips, especially I think in the Central Ohio region. Like I think road trips are just basically the better chance, the opportunity for us to have.
Absolutely.
Airports too, that can get a little crazy. But
Yeah.
I'm down for a good road trip.
Down for a good road trip. I know, like I said, I'll be here this weekend.
Yes.
Do you have anything planned for this holiday weekend?
There's a taco fest going on
Ooh.
Saturday and Sunday, free admission. So I'm thinking of checking that out on Saturday, getting a nice brunch on Sunday. Nothing too crazy. I'll also
Save
be
the gas,
here.
you'll be here in town.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, save more on gas, right? But if I had to get gas, it wouldn't be too bad either to fill up. So yeah, definitely spending some time here in the city. I just moved here. This is like my third week here. So I'm still exploring as much as I can. So right now,
It's almost like a vacation still.
Exactly. Honestly, it is. So it's like, why leave Breana when you just have all the fun right here? So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And if you're not leaving, you don't have to contend with the roads, and you don't have to contend with the airport travel either. And it's been a headache across the country. If you're connecting anywhere through Newark, prepare to arrive extra early. Some travelers, they've said as early as 6 hours before their flight, but it's not from fear of missing it. Travelers say you have a plan B if something happens to some of those flights.
Everything was on time, and then it just went from delayed to canceled.
Then we got the next flight, and then that's all the way at 6, and then we was able to find a closer flight that we on standby for, and then now that standby flight got delayed.
And the TSA also says to expect, they're expected to screen about 18 million passengers from now until next Wednesday. As for the level of air travel here in Columbus, 10 TV transportation reporter Amy Steigerwald filed this report.
If you haven't flown out of John Glenn Columbus International Airport in the past few months, there are a number of changes in place, including lane restrictions, parking changes, and adjustments to the cell phone lot. As far as how many people are hitting the skies, while numbers are still up, they aren't increasing at a drastic rate like we've been seeing in the past couple years. According to AAA, this year's air travel numbers are expected to be much lower in Ohio, only growing by about 0.3%. Officials with AAA attributing that back to a number of different factors, all tying back to the state of the airline industry.
Air travel is probably the safest travel that you can do, but those incidents have gotten high-profile attention, so people are a little leery in those cases.
Thanks again to Amy for that report. As a friendly reminder, you will need a real ID to get through those areas of travel out there this weekend. Of course, those real IDs have gone into effect in the past couple of weeks, but TSA said 93% of passengers have had some form of real ID going into this holiday weekend. So that's at least some good news there. I haven't had to fly since the real ID stuff went into effect, but I've had mine for a while, so
Yeah,
I've been pretty good.
I have too. I mean, especially because we're hearing all the craziness that's been going on, not just at the airports, but just getting the appointment to get your real ID over at the DMVs. That's been crazy. But same, I think that it's back in Virginia, really. That was my first market, and that was almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had the real ID and didn't even know it. And they told me a while ago that it was going to start up. And of course, a pandemic happened, which, as you mentioned. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a delay there. And so now we're just seeing the rush now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and one way you can avoid those real IDs, of course, by more staying local or traveling on the ground. But there's also ways you can save money on summer travel, and believe it or not, well, this year actually could be cheaper compared to Memorial Day last year. So, I mean, that's good news there too. The overall cost of travel actually down 2%, believe it or not, but Americans still expect to spend nearly $300 million more this summer than last year. Airfare, that's down 8%, and rental car costs have dropped 2%, but vacationing in 2025 still costs you about 12% more than before the pandemic.
There are a lot of unanticipated expenses that cost more, and these are the things that can really add up. These are the Lyft and Uber rides. These are the parking expenses. These are the tips.
Again, being flexible is going to save you the most money this holiday weekend, but doing something as simple as packing a lunch instead of eating out could make a difference. Don't forget to use those credit card points to cut down your travel cost.
Sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm always good for saving money.
we got to do more trips, honestly. I think we work too hard, Michael,
Yeah.
but we need to just plan some stuff out.
Look at my calendar, see where I can get some days
Yeah,
off
exactly.
in there. If you are staying here in Central Ohio this weekend, one of the things that you might be doing is heading toward the water.
I got to check that out too. That's another big thing I got on my list.
There's lots of good lakes around here, but as we head into this weekend, it is also one of the, like you said, busiest seasons for boatings.
Of course.
Boating boaters.
Boating boaters.
Boating boaters.
That's a phrase.
The holiday this week coincides with National Safe Boating Week, and officers will be out on the water patrolling those boating boaters to make sure that everyone is playing by the rules. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher, sound device, whistle or horn in your phone or shore radio, and of course, a life vest for every person on board.
It is truly to save your life. So when we talk about prevention, you may not be required to wear it, but if you're not a good swimmer, I definitely wear it.
The Division of Watercraft says that you should always let someone know where you are when you're headed out on the water and when you plan to be back. Another way to enjoy the water that's a little less involved is hitting the pools, and they open this holiday weekend as well. And to make sure that these locations are properly staffed, cities are actually offering some extra cash to prevent a lifeguard shortage. It's an issue that Columbus has had in the past. So to try to avoid this from happening this summer, lifeguards could be paid as much as $20 an hour. That's not the only perk.
All of our lifeguards get a free membership for themselves to the pool, so that's a fun little perk. And then also, if they work a certain number of hours per week, they get a bump in their hourly wage to go up to even more, to kind of incentivize them to work a little more for us.
We don't expect any pools to not be open due to staffing shortages.
Okay.
So that's good news there. But another sign of summer, the Scioto Mall Fountain is officially opening for the season today. That'll be at Bicentennial Park. Then the Weekend Fountain Festival starts tomorrow. The free event kicks off Saturday morning at 11 with music, food trucks, live performances, and more. And of course, make sure you wear sunscreen while you're out at any of these events. Of course, lots of fun stuff in there, but we can't forget the more serious parts of summer and hurricane season. That's just around the corner.
You got to talk about it. I mean, I have family in Florida. I grew up in Florida as well, so hurricanes are definitely not a joke down there.
Yeah, definitely not a joke. And forecasters say this could be one of the busiest years with the threat growing, and the agency responsible for disaster response is weathering some storms of their own. CBS's Karen Waugh reports from the Gulf Coast of Texas.
For the second straight year, NOAA predicts an above-average hurricane season. 5 hurricanes made landfall in the U.S. last season, causing more than $100 billion worth of damage.
For the range of storms, we're calling for 13 to 19 named storms. Of these, 6 to 10 are forecast to become hurricanes.
That number is slightly lower than last year, but hurricanes have been getting more intense. Here's why. Warming waters energize storms, and experts say the ocean is now warming at twice the rate it was just 2 decades ago. What can't be predicted is whether cuts to NOAA and FEMA will impact hurricane prediction and response. NOAA lost nearly 1 in 5 employees to Trump administration buyouts and layoffs. John Cortina is retired from NOAA.
The cuts that at least that have been proposed are larger than any I've seen in the 30 years I've been associated with NOAA. So they're quite significant. And therefore the impacts are expected to be quite significant.
And CBS News has learned the acting head of FEMA just rescinded its strategic plan, a document that outlines its disaster relief priorities. Adam Garrison has weathered extreme storms his entire life. Now he rents out chairs and umbrellas at beaches in Galveston, Texas.
What's the revenue loss like on that side of things?
Yeah, we'll lose thousands for sure.
Of course, as hurricane season looms, you can hear those forecasters are certainly expecting an active one out there. And more than 900 tornadoes have already been reported this year as well. It's already been an active severe weather season. That's brought some concern with the Trump administration's overhaul of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. And of course, they're worried about how those communities might respond when hurricane season picks up too, based on how it's gone so far for severe weather. David Malkoff reports from Mississippi, one of the 19 states that's still waiting for federal help.
My double-wide mobile home was located right here.
68 days ago, a deadly tornado in Tylertown, Mississippi leveled Dorothy Yarborough's home.
Riding out a tornado in a double wide seems like a very scary experience.
It happened so fast.
But the response from the federal disaster agency, FEMA, has been slow. Typically, when a tornado destroys a town, someone like Yarborough applies for federal assistance. The president signs the declaration, and FEMA spends money to recover and rebuild. Yarborough has applied, but after 10 weeks, she's got nothing but a huge pile of debris and this camper.
So this was donated by a church. This wasn't FEMA, right?
Right. No, not FEMA.
Across the country, governors have 21 requests into the White House for emergency or disaster declarations. 2 have been denied. The other 19, including Mississippi, are waiting for a decision.
President Trump says he wants to get rid of FEMA altogether.
Somebody's going to have to help.
Patsy Pittman's family has owned this property for generations. She and her husband repaired their damaged home and farm buildings with their own personal insurance money and most of their life savings, $40,000.
We've applied, and that's the last we've heard. But they say the president hasn't signed it, so.
How does that make you feel?
A little disappointed. If we can send missiles overseas, why can't we send money to help us, Arkansas? Now Kentucky got hit this past weekend. My opinion is your priority is your home.
Kind of compelling report there.
Good point right there.
Yeah. And finally today, let's check out some more weather video into us here at 10 TV. This is from across the globe. Floodwaters in Australia's east coast have unfortunately left several dead and some missing. This was on Thursday as heavy rain was forecast in the area. More than 500 people actually rescued from that flooding in New South Wales. The area has been hit with heavy rain since earlier this week, and flooding has exceeded records that were set all the way back in the 1920s.
Wow, I haven't really heard about flooding in Australia. Obviously, it happens, and when it does, it gets really devastating out there. But that's still shocking.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of dealing with some of the same problems that we have here in the U.S., where you go from fires, because I mean, they had lots of fires the other year, now to too much rain.
Yeah, you can never find the balance, right? Weather just comes when it comes, and we prepare as much as we can. So that's devastating. That's
Absolutely, some wild video there. And then speaking of fires, that actually goes into our next piece of video here. This was out from California. High winds, lots of smoke, and actually a pileup of cars, all caused by a fire in Midway that was burning just west of the city of Tracy. Smoke fueled by the winds in the area caused that crash, adding to dry conditions, and again made the perfect environment for a big old blaze there. And I mean, thankfully, at least that one looks like kind of more in less forested area. So I mean, hopefully they'll be able to get control of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, I mean, there's been tons of fires out there this year.
I know. I guess you could say it could have been a lot worse, but then you look at video like that, and that's pretty bad. So California has just been hit with so much this past years alone. So it's really devastating just to see more of it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're, of course, wishing them the best with that, and hopefully they can get some rain, break that drought up here soon, but not flooding, because we don't want flooding either.
Yeah, no flooding, a little bit of rain, please.
Yeah, and speaking of rain, like I said, good news is we're pushing our rain out, because we've got plenty so far this spring, and that sets up a nice holiday weekend, but of course, you'll want to stay on top of those plans too. So, you know how you do that?
How?
Watching 10 TV.
Okay, I'm making sure. I was like, was that a trick question?
Not a trick question. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, he'll be back later today with the latest on that holiday weekend forecast. Until then, there's more online at 10tv.com. Have a great afternoon.